So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about cloud computing. And cloud computing is something that everybody talks about, and if you ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers as to what it is. There's a reason for that. We're going to explore some of that reasoning, but hopefully the goal here is that by the time the panel is over, we're actually going to be able to help you understand what cloud computing is, what it can do for you, and as John mentioned, what you can do tomorrow to start. So on the panel here, I have Jer Hartlett. He's the CTO of Goshido. He has 20 years of experience in startups, applying agile technologies, and he co-authored a book on embedded networking. Next to Jer, we have Alan Foy, CEO of Blueface. Blueface is an internet telco, and Alan is the chief executive that they brought in to help make sure that they can grow the way that they need to. Mark Scanlon, Chief Operations Officer and co-founder of Big Dog. He's an award-winning developer of cloud solutions for procurement, which is very much what Big Dog is about. Their product is public and private sector procurement in 5 countries. And then Declan McGovern, at the end, is the Cloud Partner Manager for Microsoft. And what Declan is responsible for is really help supporting customers on their journey to the cloud and enabling Microsoft partners to deliver cloud solutions. So, slightly different to the schedule, what we're going to do first is we're going to actually have each one of these gentlemen go through a brief case study on cloud, and then we're going to have a brief discussion about cloud, questions, the things you need to think about. So, Jer?
Thanks.
Hopefully we have the slides here.
Clicker, yeah. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about how I came to cloud computing. I was in a multinational company, one of the bigger companies in the world, a well-known brand name called Intel, and I was working on lots of different projects. And now I'm part of a really tiny multinational company, which is Goshido, and again we're working on lots of different projects. And essentially everybody in the room here is a project manager, whether you like it or not, that tag. And we're all juggling lots of stuff at the same time, and this is the problem that I had in Intel. Getting hundreds and hundreds of emails every day and not really knowing where to turn next and finding it really difficult to prioritize that. At the same time, there's a revolution happening in management and how people are running organizations as well. Organizations are becoming far more agile. There's a lot of self-organization happening. And organizations now, rather than being hierarchies, are being networks. So there's no real good solutions to this problem. And that's what essentially we build. We build a software product that runs in the cloud that helps you run projects, whether they're Intel class projects of 400 people or projects like we run in Goshido. We've got a project for each potential customer. We're a 4-person organization. We're highly distributed geographically, and we're running lots and lots of projects at the same time. So just in terms of some key learnings, I guess the point I'm trying to get across here is that there's 2 parallel revolutions happening. There's the cloud computing piece, and there's a change in the way organizations work as well, and those are happening at the same time. So there's some resources here, and basically I put a page up on our website where you can go and find out more about these things. But there's a lot of good new management thinking happening around agile techniques in running businesses, whether they're small businesses or large businesses. And there's lots of cloud products out there that will help you go and implement these. And some of these companies, a lot of these companies are Irish. So I'll just give you a couple of quick examples. DataGrid are a company based in Limerick, and they do a cloud backup service, which is an appliance that can sit in your office. DataHug help you mine your existing communications to figure out who are the experts in your organizations about specific things. Dropbox is another product that we use, which is basically cloud storage where you can synchronize data across a number of computers. HubSpot, inbound marketing on the web. GitHub we use for our source code control management. Intralinks is a good example. They do super secure cloud storage for clinical trials and for mergers and acquisitions. One Page CRM we mentioned earlier, they do a product for managing your customer database and the next steps you want to take with those. So there's lots of great products out there. A lot of them are coming from Irish companies. And if you go to our website, you'll get a quick description of each of those and a few pointers as to what this cloud thing is all about.
Thanks, Ger. Moving on, Alan.
Thanks very much, Andrew. The take that I'm going to talk about today is slightly different in the sense that I'm talking about cloud telephony. And obviously our business basically brings telephony from the physical on-premises equipment and all of those features and functionality and brings that into the cloud regardless of your location and delivers it as a service effectively. But I just thought it'd be useful when we're talking about clouds to talk about the clouds that are hanging over the typical Irish SME at the moment. And with that, I've got some nice little pictures of clouds. OpEx is a major issue for SMEs right now. There's a need to drive efficiency, and often the typical Irish SME can't afford the IT expert and the phone expert any longer. And with that, of course, there's no appetite for capital spend any longer. We were discussing this yesterday when we were preparing for this session. You know, the idea of writing a big check, you know, for, say, in our business, a PBX for 10k or 50k or whatever it might be, depending on the size of the business, just isn't there any longer. Staff increasingly want mobility and flexibility, and telecoms just doesn't enable businesses. It's actually confusing for the majority of people. I just missed it. I missed my own slides there. Then the other piece then is that you've got these Irish SMEs that are basically trying to compete with big businesses globally with bigger budgets. And we find that our customers, our SMEs, are international. And I'll talk about how we deliver basically international numbers to them across the globe that makes them appear like they have a virtual office in New York or Shanghai and so on. Hardware, as I say, is pricey and support is a luxury.
Mark.
Thank you. Quick introduction to Big Dog as a company. It was founded by the Big Dog himself there, John Quigley, and myself back in 2009. We were born in Invent DCU in Dublin, and we since moved out our development team to the Guinness Centre and then moved everybody else down to Galway, which was a great move for us. It's quite recent. And one of the best things that we ever did, and I would encourage anyone who's just starting out on the road of developing a cloud solution, is that we got a group of people from the industry together, not techies, the actual end users of the product. And we asked them what they would like in a product like this. So it wasn't developed by coders and development experts. It was actually mapped out by the people who were going to use this, and that just made huge sense to us at the time. So we launched our flagship platform, SourceDog.com, back in 2010, and since then we've exported it to 5 different countries. One of those is the Caribbean, so I think technically it's about 35 if you count all the tiny ones. But importantly, we've expanded this to employ 12 people here in Ireland. So it's a really nice success story. We're funded by a Galway company as well, who are just down in the WebWorks, just down the road, Nucleus Venture Partners. So we've picked up a couple of awards along the way. But really, the road to getting here in procurement, people who buy for the company professionally, it started out with companies like SAP. And this is very much aligned with what happened in computing to get to the cloud. And their main aim was to take things that were done on paper and put a system around them. So it moved on to companies who thought, okay, as well as doing this internally in the company, maybe we should get our suppliers to submit things electronically rather than in paper. People then took it a step further, and people like Ariba started getting interaction between people. So maybe we could send them the POs and invoices, maybe they could respond. So you got a group of hubs together. And we saw a real inflection point in the last couple of years. One route has gone off towards very complex optimized solutions. And this is happening in every industry. It's not just procurement. The really technical, really expensive, high-end stuff And then there's people who are taking this and saying, okay, forget about all the features that you could have, you know, as this summit is all about, you know, let's start simple. Let's take small steps and let's do it. The overall vision is to include people. So software has generally been about excluding people from a process and doing it more efficiently by computers. But we're all about including people in processes.
Okay, hi, my name is Stephen Brown, working for Microsoft Ireland in Dublin. An interesting news article that I read a number of days ago, last weekend, was that potentially 40% of SMB businesses in Ireland do not know what cloud computing is, and there's potentially only 15% that currently consume cloud services in some way, shape or form. So I think there's a big piece of work that we collectively here today have to do to enable you or make you aware of currently what's available in the cloud today. So what I'd like to go through is kind of an average kind of an SMB customer scenario, kind of what he knew about the cloud, why we felt there was a need for him to go to the cloud, and what the potential benefits were for him moving towards the cloud in the future. So if you just kind of look at this slide, the first kind of things that customers kind of say to us, either Microsoft directly or through our partners, is, and a perception that I got from last night from speaking to a number of people in the bar, was that a lot of people were happy to see Microsoft move to the cloud in the last couple of years. And that was a perception I think that we need to kind of reiterate a little bit stronger, that we've been in the cloud for a number of years. If you look at the various different services that we've been offering through the cloud, either from a consumer or from an enterprise space, we've got Xbox Live, we've got Windows Messenger, Zoom, Hotmail. Hotmail has been in the cloud for nearly 15 years. That's a consumer cloud service product that we've been offering to consumers. So we've been there for a number of years. So, and if you look at our cloud services message, we look at the one device. So PC, desktop, TV, mobile device. That's our message, and that's what we try and get across with SMBs, that you can have potentially one device that can manage all multiple devices.
So from an enterprise perspective, there's also aspects that are beneficial from cloud, because you can take those same drivers, cost reduction. It's basically, you know, it's converting CapEx into OpEx. And it means that from a cloud service point of view, especially for things that are computational intensive, or things that, you know, you want to scale or reduce the time of processing, like pharmaceuticals do a lot of research on drug interactions and preparations. And they, by integrating, that will facilitate the calculations that they need to do to build those products. Their own infrastructure, because of costs, they can only, say, do that process in 2 weeks. But from a cloud perspective, in the enterprise, you can take that and distribute that process, and it can take, you know, 2 days instead of 2 weeks. But you don't actually have to buy the infrastructure to do that. You can basically rent it. So it's basically this pay-as-you-go stuff.